Hello everybody, I'm going to be answering your questions. There's no specific order to these. It's not like who asked them first or whatever. I can't be bothered with any of that crap, so I'm not reading out who sent the questions in most cases because I got one on my phone even. First question, what would you tell someone considering making videos on YouTube about wrestling? Don't, because you'll be taking away a share of my audience, but if you are, figure out what it took me forever to figure out. Don't sit there talking to the camera as if you're talking to a camera. Sit there as if you're conversing with someone in the room with you. Try to exhibit a bit of personality. As I said, it took me forever to fucking figure that one out. And as a result, the first half of all my videos were just absolute shit. So yeah, that's how you do that. Next question. What do or would you hate about living with other people? If they left their pubes on the soap, if they didn't put the cap on the toothpaste back on properly, if they ate my food, if they touched me while I was sleeping, etc. This person asked two questions. One, what do you think of a wrestler who would have a gimmick in which he wouldn't care about championships or accomplishments and would criticize everyone else who strives for titles? I think that's a good idea, but it would really depend on the execution. And I think there would have to be a certain story arc, and when the arc kind of came to an end on that certain aspect of the character, that gimmick, because it becomes a point where somebody really, the wrestler kind of supersedes the gimmick. But in this case, it would probably be with him winning the belt, and it would be a kind of choice. Would he kind of turn on his morals or what he stands for and throw and keep the title and hold it some kind of prestige, or throw it in the trash? So yeah, I think that's an interesting idea, but it would be very difficult to execute and would really take the right kind of person, because a lot of people in wrestling are interested in winning titles for whatever reason. So you really have to find someone who would go 5-10 years without winning one. But yeah. And his next question was, who are your 5 favourite bands? Dinosaur Jr., Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, the White Stripes, and Led Zeppelin. So there you go. There are those. Dinosaur Jr., most people fucking know that. Oh god, this person wrote a long ass. I'm just gonna say it's Ichiban Pure. So fuck you for writing such a long pair of questions. Prelude. I think perhaps. Fuck it. I'm not reading the prelude. Question 1: am I missing something about Sekimoto? Has he actually had a better singles match than, say, roughly 4-star match against Shingo, and before that against Tanaka? You are missing something. While he hasn't had the kind of, a lot of 4-star matches in singles, he has carried Mammoth Sasaki to a very successful tag title run in Big Japan, I believe in 2008, which I really did enjoy. I thought Sasaki was average, and he was really the person who stuck out in my mind as carrying that tag team. So, yeah, but I'll agree with you to an extent. There is something that, yeah, question two, because it connects to question 1, you fucker. If you agree with my random observation, can we put it down to his rarely working with other top heavyweights? Or is it maybe that Sekimoto lacks something of that intangible quality that makes for the difference between good and awesome? Is his match pacing a little off? Is something charismatic missing? I don't think it's either of those things. I think to an extent you're right in saying he rarely works with other top heavyweights, because to an extent there aren't the kind of top heavyweights on the indie scene, at least where he works, that really is over as they need to be for him to really shine. Because on the indie scene, it seems the better matches and things like that are held more so by junior heavyweights. I mean, to an extent, but I think he's a heavyweight who has more of an appeal, who would have more of an appeal to a mainstream audience. I mean, even on the indie scene, without having wrestled really good matches, he's gotten very over. But I don't think there's anybody who can really match him. And if there is, it's like Liger coming down to his level. And not only that, but to an extent, he does put on consistently good, 3.5 star matches, even in short amounts of time. So, yeah, Jesus Christ, what a hard pair of questions to answer. It's something that I need to do a whole video on and really break up into pieces. So, yeah, sorry about that, Daniel. Question: what do you like and dislike about the AFL and NRL, the two premier sporting competitions in Australia? AFL, what I like about them is they have very high attendances, and I always like sports with lots of people. I think the average is like 38,000 or something like that for the average AFL game. I dislike how rules constantly get tweaked and changed, and I did very much dislike the blood rule where if someone bleeds, they have to be taken off, because I like seeing people bleed, but obviously safety. What I dislike about them, another thing I like about them is that they're actually expanding it and trying to get into as many places in Australia as possible, as many clubs as possible, as opposed to just the standard 16 with 8 of them going through, the top 8 on the ladder going through to the finals. So yeah, that's good. And the NRL, I don't really follow them too much, so it's really hard for me to say. Oh, and things I dislike about the AFL, I think I already said it. NRL, that's really tough to say. One thing I dislike about it is that it's mostly... I don't follow it heavily enough to really say anything I really like about it, I guess. But one thing I do dislike is that it's primarily based on the east coast of Australia and the one team from New Zealand. So it does seem a bit lopsided. Because, I mean, there's only the one team from Victoria, and then it's mostly just Queensland and New South Wales. And while the AFL is similar, they are trying to spread it out a lot more than it already is. So yeah, that's it. And I got a question on my phone from my friend who asks, where is it? What is your favourite infomercial? And the Flavour Wave one with Mr. T. It's so crunchy. I don't know what a Flavour Wave is. Is it an oven or a microwave or what? I don't know. If you know, tell me, because I'd like to know.